You guys know me, but for anyone else who doesn't, I like to give a little bit of my background when I get started. Yes, you can join both places, on Zoom or on Instagram. So either one, but appreciate you joining me on whichever platform that works for y'all. So my background was in corporate marketing for over 12 years. And so just throughout my corporate career, I just had a lot of stressful situations, and some of those I take responsibility for myself because I had challenges with setting boundaries and all of those things, which tomorrow we'll be talking about boundaries if that's a challenge of yours as well. But I had to start looking for just to make some changes in my life to just improve my overall health. I started having a lot of stress-related health issues. And so at the end of 2019, that is when I found yoga and meditation, and the light bulb went on. And I said, you know what, I want to do this and support other people and figure out a way that I can use this to support others. And so that is where my journey started. And my why isn't just about me. It's definitely also about others because I believe there's a connection between just starting off with some of the lesser kind of issues, mental health issues like stress and depression and anxiety. But I believe that those being prolonged can transition into some of the deeper issues that I've seen, schizophrenia and bipolar disorders and things of that nature. Hey, Deetra, thanks for joining tonight. And so that's really another reason why that I'm very passionate about supporting people in their mental health. So I also like to learn a little bit about you guys and what you guys are reading right now. And so if anybody's reading any good books or listening to any good podcasts right now, just put them in the chat wherever you are, Zoom or Instagram. One book that I am rereading right now is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, which I like to say is really good in business because I am a recovering perfectionist and trying to get everything right and perfect, which also adds to my stress. So that is not a good thing. So I'm rereading that book. And so that's helping me to know that it's okay and that not to have everything perfect. So and then before we start any of the meditation stuff, I like to give a little bit of education because I believe that's what helps it stick a little bit better if you understand like the why behind what I'm teaching. And so just first off, what is the definition of meditation? So a lot of people, have their thoughts about what they think meditation is or what it looks like. And so it's really just focusing your thoughts and attention and having an observation or making observations from those thoughts in your focus. And so what are the effects of lack of sleep? So, hey, Jess, thanks for joining. I was just listening to your show. I'm glad you got to join tonight. So what are the effects of lack of sleep? So the effects of lack of sleep are way more serious than I think people realize, because I think people are just so used to functioning being sleep deprived. And so sleep, what it is it is for your body to recover. So we're not machines. Grind culture is not cute. Like, we are built for rest. That is what our body is built to do. So I like to kind of get a little medical. And so I told my dad I wanted to be a doctor when I was little. And so now I get to use some of the terminology and things like that when I'm doing my study in preparation for this. So if you guys didn't know, while you're sleeping, your immune system releases a small type of protein called cytokines. And so cytokines is like, if you're sick or injured, they help your body fight inflammation, infection, and heal trauma. So sleep is actually very healing for you. And sleep also decreases the levels of the stress hormones in your body that we talked about yesterday. So if you didn't watch yesterday's, Hey, Junior. Thanks for joining. So if you didn't watch yesterday's, go back and watch yesterday's because I went more in depth on those stress hormones, cortisol and noradrenaline, and all of the issues that those cause. And so a lot of us aren't really trained to deal with sleep deprivation, but if you didn't know, Navy SEALs are actually trained to deal with sleep deprivation. And the effects that it caused. But, all of us should learn, especially parents, should go through some type of training on how to function, through sleep deprivation. And actually, I was just talking to my uncle about this recently. He was formerly a police officer, and we talked about how he could tell the difference between if someone was driving drunk or driving while sleepy, because there are parallels and similarities to if you're driving while you're sleepy. There are studies that have shown the kind of the correlation between what blood alcohol level it's similar to if you're driving while you're sleepy. So it can actually be very dangerous. But he said that he noticed a pattern where if someone was driving while sleepy, they usually just veered one way. But if somebody was drunk, they kind of like went into like a loop kind of. And so, but I just want to stress that so you understand how, like how serious it is to be sleep deprived. And it can also cause a whole health issues. So it can lead to kidney disease, diabetes, because it affects your body's release of insulin, stroke, depression, weight gain, and obesity, because the chemicals that signal to your brain that you're full are off balance. So it can cause you to overindulge. And it can also cause your immune system to be weakened because nothing is functioning properly. And then it can also cause you to have high blood pressure and heart disease. So I always have a story because, like I said, I say that I learned all of this because I am the person that I'm teaching to a lot of the time, because I've been through a lot of different things. And recently I had a health issue stemming from oral surgery I had last year, and it caused me to develop TMJ. Did not know though what it was for 6 months. So all I know is for 6 months straight, I couldn't sleep through the night. So I would literally wake up every night in the middle of the night, gasping for air, wondering what was going on. And so I was starting to have these thoughts of, what exactly is happening, and why can't I sleep through the night? What's going on? And I went to urgent care, all of these different things, and all they told me, you're dehydrated, you're just anxious, you're having anxiety, and just all this thing. So medical gaslighting is the thing, but I knew something else was wrong. Well, come to find out, the TMJ, you're not supposed to sleep on your sides when you have TMJ because it can cause blockage to your airway. So when you're sleeping, your body wakes you up so that you don't suffocate yourself and you actually breathe. So that's another thing. So if you're struggling with sleep, I will say that, I'm going to talk about a lot of different things to support and help with that, but also medically, make sure you're checking and doing your checkups and physicals and all of that stuff to make sure that there's nothing medically going on, because I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't sleep, but my blood pressure was spiking, and I've never had high blood pressure, but I started having stroke level blood pressure out of nowhere, and it was caused by the sleep deprivation, which was caused by the TMJ. Which so I say all that to say, check on all of your health related things as well, just to make sure that's not contributing to your sleep issues. So one of the main things that we need to do is have good sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene is a thing. Like we talk about, like our physical hygiene and all of that stuff, but there's also sleep hygiene. So that means having both a bedroom environment and daily routines that promote consistent, uninterrupted sleep. So if anybody has any bedtime routine things that they already do to prepare themselves to go to sleep, put it in the chat. Let me know if you're already, because some of you guys might already have routines and things that you do. So there is a doctor here. Well, she's a therapist here in Houston, and I heard her on a podcast recently talking about having a bedtime routine. And her name is Dr. Ibinye Anyali, and so she is here in Houston. So I'll try to tag her information. But she talked on this podcast all about like sleep routines and all of that. But it helps you, and if you think about nature, liken it to nature. So nature always has a rhythm with everything in nature. So we shouldn't be far off from the cycles that nature does. And so it helps, having a routine helps your brain not to have decision fatigue, basically, and making different choices. So if you know, in the mornings, this is what I do to prepare for the day. In the evenings, this is what I prepare to do to go to bed at night. Having some type of routine is helpful. And if you've ever been around kids, so it's like, I don't have kids, but I have a nephew, I've been around small kids, parents don't play about their kids' nap time. So there's a reason for that. So just the way that when we were kids, needed our, routine and schedule and sleep, or else we're throwing tantrums. Some of y'all are throwing adult tantrums and moody, and maybe because, you haven't gotten enough sleep. So so make sure that you are having a routine around your sleep. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I do that helped me with better sleep. So going back to your bedroom space. So I also do interior design. So I'm going to put my interior design hat on a little bit. And so your home should have restful spaces and active spaces. So like your office is like where you're working, if you have a home office or space dedicated to your office. So that's where you should have like, a lot more like colorful things, and, because it's like you want your brain to be stimulated. You want to be, kind of go, and more energy in those spaces. But in your bedroom, you want to have more calming colors and things, and just not as much going on in the bedroom, because the bedroom is really for rest. And also with plants, like I know some people have like tons and tons of plants, and so plants give off energy. So it's okay to have, it's a feng shui thing, it's okay to have a couple plants like in your room, but not like bedrooms full of plants. Like that can actually help hinder your sleep. And then just pay attention to, like I said, the brain likes routine. So it would like to know, don't be working like in your room. So I never like take my laptop or anything like that like into my bedroom, because I don't want my brain to think, oh, it's time to work. So I try not to be on my phone in my bedroom. So I sit in my closet, and like if I'm still scrolling on my phone, I don't go into my bedroom on my phone. And a lot of my friends think it's weird that I don't have a TV in my bedroom, because I don't want to be up. It's like I want my brain to start transitioning to it's time for sleep. So those are just, some of the things that I do. Also, I know this is hard because, a lot of us like to snack at night, but try to cut it off by a certain time. But knowing this helps me, and just logically know that if you're eating close to when you're sleeping, you're activating your digestive system. So then that is also going to keep you up, because then your body is working to digest the food. So I try not to, at least 30 minutes to an hour, try not to eat like anything at all before going to sleep. So that's also helpful. And any type of exercise helps like throughout the day, but also be careful exercising too close to when you're going to sleep, because exercise gives you that adrenaline rush and kind of gets your body pumping and your heart pumping and all of that stuff. So if you're exercising too close to when you sleep, that can also affect your sleep. And I just shared a post today about gratitude, there are studies about how gratitude can help you with your sleep as well. So I keep a gratitude journal next to my bed because it's so easy to just, when you get in the bed, start thinking of everything, that maybe didn't go right that day, and thinking about what else you're going to do the next day, and stressing about whatever situation. But having the gratitude journal has helped me focus on, before I go to bed, what are the things that I can be grateful for that day? Because there's something to be grateful for in it all. Even in bad situations, it could always be worse, pretty much. So it's the way that I look at it. And so I'm, always saying that, or trying to find, what's something that I could be grateful for. And then meditation, of course, which is why we're here tonight. And so meditation naturally increases your melatonin levels. So some people take melatonin supplements, but you could also do meditation and yoga, and that can help you with your melatonin levels. And also, I talked about this a lot, like sometimes you don't know when you're stressed and you're anxious that your breathing is like short and shallow, and you're like breathing quickly and you're not taking deep breaths. And that can also cause issues with your sleep if you're having this like rapid stressed breathing. So now I hope you guys learned a little bit of good different techniques that you could do like outside of meditation. But I'm going to go into my soul meditation method. So I vary the method a little bit just based on what the focus is, but the premise of it, each letter is the same. And so the S stands for sense, because senses, that getting in touch with your senses is just, to me, one of the quickest ways to ground yourself, no matter what you're going through. And the language of sensation is basically you listening to your body and the messages that it is sending you. Because sometimes I think the body just, it's sending you messages, but your brain might interpret it a certain way. So the example I gave earlier, like I couldn't sleep through the night and I was having these thoughts of like, oh my gosh, is something serious going to happen when I go to sleep tonight? It felt wrong, like something was going to go on. Well, I didn't know that I was cutting off my own airway. So I think that was my brain's way of trying to tell me something was going on in my sleep, but I just didn't know how to interpret the message. So, but definitely pay attention and listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Also, what are you taking in through your senses? What are you listening to? I know some people like horror movies and all of those things. If those things don't bother you and you're fine and you can sleep with it, hey, have at it. But for me, I know that I recently had people at my house and they were watching all these scary movies, and I was in the kitchen and I was just like, okay, I know I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight because I have a hard time shutting those things off. But I try not to take it in, on a regular basis. So just pay attention to what you're taking in through your senses. And also the type of exercises that you're doing. For some people, they might, enjoy boxing, or some people like to be challenged, by their trainer in some things. But for some people, that doesn't work for them. So everyone has different motivations. So if your exercise that you're doing is putting you into a stress response, that also can affect your sleep. So make sure you're doing something that is comfortable and that is good for your entire system. And so now we're going to do some breathing exercises, because breathing and focusing on your breath at all. Hey, Gabby, thanks for joining tonight. Focusing on your breathing, it signals to the body that you are safe. And so it takes your body out of that fight or flight mode and pumping all the chemicals into your system. It will just relax your whole system. And so we're going to start with a chair yoga pose. And so it's really easy. And so we did it yesterday, that you can do anytime, because I like things that you can do wherever you are, whatever you're wearing, and you don't have to change or have a mat or anything like that. So you're literally just going to have your hands like hang down. I know you can't see my hands, but just hang down like loosely by your sides, like on either side of your chair. And this is the chair version of Savasana, so which is basically relaxation pose or easy pose. And most people that go to yoga classes, they like the Savasana at the end when you're like laying on your back in this pose with your palms up. But this is just an easy way to do this pose with just your hands down, because that kind of signals to the body that you're in surrender mode and you're not trying to be in control and you are relaxed. And so just make sure that your feet are always firmly planted on the ground. And so just thinking about, your feet being firmly on the ground and your feet are the ground supporting you, that's also can help you relax as well. So that the ground, the earth, and all of that is supporting you. And so one of the breathing exercises that I like to do that incorporates the infinity symbol, because that is part of my branding for SOULESTA. And so you just imagine that, so everybody knows what the infinity symbol looks like. And so you can keep your eyes closed or you can open your eyes, whichever one you prefer. I do this breathing exercise at night because sometimes, hey, I'm human. Just know that we're all having a human experience. So that doesn't mean, from now on, I'm never going to have any issues sleeping, or that I can always just shut off all my thoughts. Like, it doesn't work that way all the time. And so I use the infinity breathing exercise myself when I have too many thoughts going on. And so you just take a deep breath in and start from the center, and then you do 5 counts, or you can change however many, the number that you want to do, because sometimes if the exhale is too long for you, you also don't want to stress yourself out either. But I like to do 5 and count to 5, and then just imagine you're going over the left side of the loop. So just in counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you exhale, you're going to go to the other side of the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you keep doing it just until you feel relaxed. And so sometimes I start doing it and then I fall asleep. And it just kind of helps focus your thoughts on something else besides just letting your brain just run. And then another thing that I like to do is the body scan that I do a lot to help me with my sleep also. And I will have some pre-recorded versions to take you through. And so the body scan is, simple and relaxing. Thank you. So the body scan is really just, while you're laying in bed, you can start from your feet up. I normally start from my feet up and I never make it to my head, honestly, when I'm doing it, and I just fall asleep. But again, going back to that gratitude piece is that, I start from my feet, and then I notice, like, wiggle my toes, or like, move my ankles around. And I'm like, okay, is there anything going on? Like, do I feel any pain, any sensation in my feet, in my legs, thighs, in my core? And I also just send gratitude to those areas. And I'm like, hey, if you're able, then I'm grateful that, that I'm able to use these parts of my body. And of course that, people have all types of different issues with their body, but, be grateful for the functioning that you do have. And just doing that and scanning the body, making my way up definitely helps. And I like to tell people that, when you get up to the top, make sure that you're just relaxing, and you can do this throughout the day too. Make sure you're relaxing all the tension in your face and in your jaw. I'm seeing a lot of hearts. Thank you for the hearts. Well, I appreciate all the love. So just make sure you're not clenching your jaw and teeth, and you would just be so surprised by just bringing your awareness to it of how you do it unconsciously sometimes. And then the O is for observe. And so just observe like any of the thoughts that are coming up. So when you are, focusing on your like your senses, just observe if there's any thoughts that come up, and just make sure you're not judging any of those thoughts. And so we're meant to have emotions. So anger, like if you're having angry thoughts or hurt feelings and all of that stuff, don't shame yourself into thinking like, why am I having those thoughts? They're there for a reason. And when you think about it, so anger, when used in a constructive way, can actually get something done. Sometimes people need a fire under them to get something done. So really just look at your emotions that are coming up as information, and what do you need to do with the information that is coming up? Maybe you don't need to do anything with it right then. But sometimes it's just good to just have that time with yourself and not distract yourself all the time, so that you can observe the thoughts that are coming up. And then the U I have as standing for using facts and affirmations. So when your mind is spiraling all over the place, like what are the things that you can say that you know to be true in that moment? And so there are some affirmations I'm going to share for better sleep that you can tell yourself. So I've got 3. And the first one is, I have done enough in my best today. Because I think when you're laying down, you're kind of thinking of like, man, I would have done this differently. And I went, hindsight is 2020 every time. But guess what? Stressing about it, you can't undo it. You can't press the undo button. You can't redo it. There is not, that's not possible. And stressing about it and worrying about it and losing sleep over it is not going to change things that have already happened. So just know that you did your best, you've done enough for that day. And the second one is, I choose peace and rest in this moment. So we can make all types of choices. And we talked about yesterday that stress is a choice, because that's something that you bring into your system, that you allow. So you can make the choice to just say, I know there's a lot going on right now. There always is, for all of us. But in this moment, I choose peace and rest, because we all deserve it. And now you know what it does to your body when you don't have it. So it's something to prioritize. And then lastly, on the gratitude theme, just ending with a simple, I am grateful for this day. Because no matter what, each day that we have here is a gift. And tomorrow, if we have another day, new chance to make make tomorrow different if it needs to be different. So I am grateful for this day. I love that one. And then lastly, the L is for love and let go. Oh, thank you for all the hearts. Love and let go. So love yourself and love others. And so there's no reason, as I mentioned earlier, to be ashamed over anything that has come up or is happening in your life. So I think we increase our own suffering by, stressing over things that we can't change and all of that stuff. And so I just say, have compassion for yourself, because a lot of us have been through a lot of things that we don't even speak about. So that could be attributing to why we act the way we do, or what's going on with us, or why maybe we can't sleep. Maybe some past traumas that no one even knows about. So, but just have compassion for yourself, have compassion for others, because if you're going through things, chances are the other person that's acting out, they're going through things. So just, keep that in mind. And I like to talk about grace, giving yourself grace, in the room to become better. And also practicing non-attachment. So that has been super helpful for me. So that you can't be attached to every single outcome, because you can't control everything. So you have to, at some point, just accept for yourself that some things are the way that they are, and just take care of yourself in the process, and focus on the only thing that you can control, which is really you and your perception, or your perspective, basically. That's the only thing that actually changes, really, is your perspective and the way that you respond to things going on in life. Because I used to think that when I was younger, I had all these things that happened that were bad. And I was like, you know what? I've had enough of, like, I got all the bad things out of the way when I was young. So, everything's going to be fine now that I'm older, right? That's what I thought. And so a lot of times you get more disappointed because of your own expectations. So it actually helps when you expect that life is going to be fluid, and there's going to be times where there's going to be seasons where there's going to be stressful moments, and there's going to be seasons where everything seems good for a minute, and you can be grateful for that time too. But when you expect it, then you don't freak out as much, because then you're like, okay, this is happening, and this is part of the experience of being here. Like, as long as you live, you're going to have some bad moments, things are going to happen, but just try to focus on what can you do to make the situation better, because stressing about it and all of that actually doesn't do anything. And so yes. And so, some of it might need to be making better boundaries. As I said, tomorrow we'll be talking about boundaries. And so sometimes you can't sleep at night because of other people. And so whether it's work or friends or, family or whoever, sometimes their stuff is keeping you up at night. So do you need to set better boundaries in order to be able to rest? And so we'll be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow. And so I did talk a little bit earlier about my evening routine, but another one of the things that I do is, this is to force me, because I'm actually a night owl. People think I'm a morning person, and I'm absolutely not a morning person. Absolutely, I'm not. And so it's really hard for me to actually get to sleep at a decent time at night. So I use the sleep mode on my phone. So like at 10 o'clock, it'll turn everything to grayscale. And I'm like, oh man, it's 10 o'clock already. It feels like it comes so fast. But that kind of tells me, like, okay, I need to prepare myself. Sorry, on the Zoom, but prepare myself to go to sleep. And so when I see that, then I'm like, okay, well, now I need to start planning what I'm going to wear, for tomorrow, and all of those different things. Also, another thing that helps, you not to be all anxious and all of that, is what can you do to plan, like future planning, to support your future self, basically. And so my dad always talked about having your clothes out at night, preparing for the next day and all of that. So some of it comes from preparation, so that you're not all anxious and stressed and all of that as well. So I always took that with me. Sometimes he said plan out the clothes 3 days in advance, and I thought that was a little bit much. I just try to do from the night before. That's all I can do. But we're all doing the best we can. So and another part is movement meditation. So I like to talk about different ways that you can meditate that, like I said, don't look like the traditional forms of meditation. So I mentioned earlier that any type of exercise helps, and even taking a daily walk can help you with your sleep. And so I noticed that working from home, there will be times that I could just stay home. If I have like food and stuff at home, then I'm not even going to leave at all. There's no reason to leave. You can order everything from Amazon. Jeff has everything basically, so you don't even need to leave the house. So but I started incorporating daily sunset walks, and so that has helped me kind of get out in nature, and that can help you relax and help with your sleep also, and kind of transition your brain from work. There's those of us that are recovering workaholics. Yes, I talk about Jeff as if I know him, as if he is a friend of mine, because he has come through and supported me so many times, and he just will have stuff ready for you like the next day. I mean, I hope I get to meet Jeff one day, okay, because I appreciate him so much. Jeff Bezos is who I'm talking about, Amazon. So Yes, shout out to Jeff. Uh, just amazing. But and then my shower meditation. Now, this is one of the biggest things that have also helped me sleep better, because I don't know about you guys, but it's like when I get in bed at night, sometimes it's like the flood of all the thoughts that will come to you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, like I'm having way too many thoughts, like when I get in the bed. And so in the shower, I have these towels that are like in front of my shower, and they say, wash your worries away. So I literally visualize like all of my stress and like anything that happened that day that maybe didn't go exactly how I thought it was going to go. I just leave it in the shower, and I just imagine, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and music and stuff, but I'll turn it off, and I may turn it back on after the shower sometimes, but I make sure to turn it off when I'm in the shower, so that I can just be with my thoughts and like think about how the day went and plan in my head, what do I want to happen the next day, and whatever else that I can't control that are up to other people. If it's out of your mind, or if it's out of your hands, if it's in someone else's control of something, it should be out of your mind. So I try to leave those things like in the shower and just be done with it, and just say that tomorrow will be a new day. And so I'm going to be having a challenge that is going to be coming up soon, that I'm going to challenge people to try movement meditations. And I'm going to have some recordings already done, that if you guys would like to listen to some of the recordings that I'll have, the guided meditation recordings, that will be available for you guys on like a ton of different topics. I have a lot of different topics. I have a lot of scripts. And so I'll be recording those, but then I want people to take me with them on their walks and doing their walking meditations, and like taking in, the scenery and what's going on around them, instead of like mindlessly listening to music, like actually be present and be in the moment and be with your thoughts. Also doing cooking meditation. So for some people, cooking can be a very therapeutic and meditative experience, and as well as cleaning for everybody else but me. And so that's not my thing, but yeah, just trying to open people up to other forms of meditation and processing your thoughts and emotions.